If women have 5 times better intuition than men, where's the evidence of this?
Women do have intuition. Unfortunately, women are conditioned not to use their intuition, to be honest.
If you holler out that everything is bad, eventually when you find something bad, you're like, oh, I knew it. You didn't know it. You just labeled everything and found something that proved your bias.
Personally, I think there's way too many single mothers out there for the women intuition to be working.
Even Superman has kryptonite. And I think men is the weakness when it comes to women's intuition.
We keep hearing about the intuition, so scientists had to be called in because we need to verify this intuition. We've been hearing about this forever. So scientists did sciencey things. They did a study, and they found out that the region of the brain that recognizes facial expressions, empathy, like nonverbal cues, things of that nature, women have a thicker part of that brain, and they've estimated that allows them to be 5 times more accurate when picking these things up than men's, which is what we call women's intuition. So if women have 5 times better intuition than men, where's the evidence of this? Halle Berry, J-Lo, shouldn't they seen all of these things coming if they had 5 times better intuition? Personally, I think there's way too many single, mothers out there for the women intuition to be working. Guys using women's cars while they're at work and bringing the car back on E. Wouldn't the intuition have told them that? But what do you guys think? Is this just are the scientists pulling one over on us, or is there really something to this? Because we read white papers here at the BLC podcast. We read the research.
So I'm going to go ahead and jump in on this one. So yes, women do have intuition. Unfortunately, women are conditioned not to use their intuition, to be honest. Like, we see the red flags and we ignore them. You know why? Because we're still looking for love. We're too busy saying, oh, we want to find love, or maybe it's not this, or maybe it's that. So while we may have the intuition, we may not necessarily actually put it in place. And that's our fault. Let's be honest. That's on us 100%. Because why in the hell, if you see all these red flags, you still chasing after this dude, and deep down, and as a matter of fact, you probably did some I Spy detective ass work too, and you still ignored your I Spy detective ass work, going through his phone, checking where he at, checking his locations, scrolling through his social media, and you still ignored every single red flag that you possibly could have had. Because unfortunately, while we have intuition, we've been conditioned not to use it because you're still chasing that love. You still, or in some case, chasing that dick. And so, because sometimes it's just dick and vibes. And I understand sometimes you get dickmatized. But either way it goes, this is 100% on the women for not using the intuition. I believe the study is valid. And I believe part of the reason why it's valid is because our intuition is usually based on pattern recognition, not just from ourselves, but from watching other people in their lives and so forth. And that's why I talk about the conditioning that we may experience. And so intuition also equates to survival. Unfortunately, a lot of women just not using it. And so, because, loneliness is a powerful fear for many people. And that's oftentimes why women have a tendency not to use it.
So I have a follow-up question.
Better not be about celebrities.
No, listen, this is about science, because the scientists have confirmed the region of the women's brain, it's there. So to me, it begs the question, is it really intuition if you can just turn it off?
Well, it's still intuition. The problem is they just ignore it. It's like, you know what? I'm going to put it in man speak really quickly. It's like when you get a gut instinct and when something's going to pop for you, it's like, oh, that's my gut instinct. But you ignore it because there's some fear, or there's some doubt, or there's people in your ear, or there's something else that was telling you, no, don't do it. And so you don't do it, even though your gut instinct told you to do it. So women's intuition to me is similar to gut instinct, which men and women both have, just like men also have intuition as well, which can be related to gut instincts. So, yeah.
I think we're conflating intuition with self-fulfilling prophecies, right? So what I'm looking at is this. Yes, this part of the brain that picks up on nonverbal cues and body language and all that is a little more pronounced, a little more developed, right, than they say it is in men. Now, we typically understand, ladies, don't hate me on this, women tend to be hyper emotional compared to men, right? And hypersensitive to changes that may trigger that emotion, or that may make them be triggered, right? So men usually aren't always checking the temperature of everything, right? They got certain things they're focused on, and they're looking for those things to change and measuring the change there or whatever. Women tend to be more broad in their investigations, more broad in the things they're looking around. Plus, they do a lot of if you holler out that everything is bad, eventually when you find something bad, you're like, oh, I knew it. You didn't know it. You just labeled everything and found something that proved your bias. There's that. And there's other cases. Sometimes these women who have this intuition that their man is doing something, you're the reason because you treated him like he was doing something. So you know what he did? He went out and did something. It's not intuition. That's provocation. It's inception. You know what I mean? So no, I have to agree with Delvin. If intuition was that strong, women wouldn't blow past all these red flags, right? They wouldn't have to be doing all that sneaking and hide behind and private eye FBI stuff. They could just, oh, this man's doing this. I had a chick one time catch me on some stuff. And she was like, you was doing this, weren't you? And that day I was feeling particularly forthcoming. And I was like, yeah, I did it. I knew it. I knew it. I wasn't sure, but I just knew it. Well, then you didn't really know. And I told her myself, you don't have no intuition. You just ran up on somebody who was feeling a little transparent that day. That's not the same thing, ladies. Please don't get it tripped up. Please do not think because your brain or heart or whatever is guiding you tells you something is happening. That's the real thing. Okay, sit down, settle yourself. All right. Just because that part of your brain is hyperdeveloped, yes, you may be able to read some things, but it doesn't mean you're always reading it right. Slow down.
So technically, because we're supposed to be logical, i.e. men are supposed to be logical, women try to bring the receipts, and that's why they do that I Spy detective game work. So while they have their intuition, they then go and seek out to confirm that intuition, and that's where the I Spy detective game work come into play. Because without concrete evidence, then how can we verify that intuition, especially since we have a tendency to ignore the red flags in the first place? So this is a way of those women trying to find, not necessarily ignore the red flags, but to confirm it. So I can see where you would say, oh yeah, that is a self-fulfilling prophecy. But in reality, it's called evidence gathering, which is part of the detective work.
Okay, thank you for that. Detective work 101. I did my own bit of detective work, right? Because I feel like in the culture that we live in today, we have these phrases and people assign a meaning to a phrase, right? So whenever I've heard women's intuition, I guess it just kind of speaks to things that women may pick up on or know or feel or whatever, right? And so I think that's one variation of the meaning. But then I think sometimes people might use it to make it seem like, oh, I know more than, or I'm able to pick up on more. So I think that's why a lot of times guys might push back on it because it's like, well, in truth, evidentiarily, maybe you don't. Right. And so, for me, I like to break things down, get to the definition of things. Right. So, for example, the definition of intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. Right. So, boom, intuition. And so then you throw women on there and it resonated with me because I'm like, well, without the need for conscious reasoning, oh, that's women all day. What are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it that yes, men and women can have intuition and gut feeling. But as I was reading, I was like, without the need for conscious reasoning. And to me, that would be what separates it sometimes for me between men and women. If you're going to talk about women's intuition versus men's intuition, because I feel like SDM, you're talking about gut feeling. And I feel like even in those moments where guys have a gut feeling, we still try to maybe process it through some, you guessed it, conscious reasoning, like some logical, I feel this way, or why do I feel this way type of a thing, right? Now, I'm kind of halfway joking a little bit, but I feel like that was there's some truth there, okay? But to be honest though, right, I do think that women have the ability to pick up on things far more than men do, 1000% when it comes to certain areas. Right. Like, so I think, like, for example, when it comes to things around security, fight or flight, I think men's intuition or instincts or whatever may kick in differently because maybe there are certain things that we're built to be intuitive or to be able to tap into in a very sensory type of way. Right. Like we can pick up danger when we walk in a room if somebody's mean mugging us. A woman that might be with me may not be paying attention to that because that's not the area upon which her intuition is going to be activated. Right now, however, if there's a baby crawling around somewhere, she's like, oh, where's the baby? Who knows? And all of a sudden, her woman/mommy intuition kicks in and she be wanting to breastfeed the bitch. But the little baby, excuse me, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the point I'm trying to make is that I do think there is a such thing as women's intuition. And we see that. But to your guys' point, in the areas of relationship, is it possible that even Superman has kryptonite? It doesn't mean that he's not super. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have the abilities in certain areas. It just means that there's a specific thing that goes against the thing that he's exceptional at. It's a specific thing that is the weakness. And I think men, to S&M's point, is the weakness when it comes to women's intuition to a certain extent, because they're kind of caught between, oh, I need this, I want this, through the intuitive nature of the relationship of a man, right? So, security, support, that kind of a thing. But niggas out here moving a little different, you know what I'm saying? And to S&M's point, they've been conditioned a little different. So it's like a whole bunch of haywire shit going on when it comes to this whole gender war and how men and women relate to each other. So I get that when it comes to that area, yes, women are failing. Why? Because they just don't have the skills, the wherewithal, the program fucked up. Niggas out here doing what niggas are out here doing. So when it comes to that, 1000%. But I do think that when you talk about emotionally picking up on behavior, like, women are actually good at some of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you how you know, because they bicker a lot more than we do in relationships, friendships in particular. You know why, we as guys, we can say, oh my God, look at women always fighting. You know why? Because they pick up on a lot more shit than we do, between the shade that they throw at each other, the real feelings that they be having, the jealousy, the insecurities, all that deep, deep shit. They pick it up, you know what I'm saying? And they got to deal with it, and it causes challenges. Meanwhile, we out here, oh no, man, what's up, fam? That nigga you said, what's up, fam, too? That's why your old lady can pick up on the fact that he on some bullshit. Right? She could pick up on, you know what I'm saying? Like, your woman, like, hey, you know what? I don't like that nigga. You don't know why she don't like that nigga, but it's probably a reason. She has the intuition that said, that nigga don't mean you good, or maybe don't mean our relationship good. So that's where fellas have to be, a little aware of what's going on there. But the point is, in certain areas, I absolutely agree that women have a heightened level of ability to discern and pick up on things without having to consciously even pick up. You know what I mean? I do agree with that, 1000%. Now, on the level which is more than men, I don't know, because that's where the comparison game becomes a problem. Because if my ability to do that in one area is significantly far more than yours, and you may have another area, then how can you say it's 5 times more? And I wonder if these studies look at other areas that maybe if you called it intuition, or try to dissect between men and women's version of it to find some actual truth in regards to whether or not it's 5 times more, or maybe more likely it's just different. Even if it's more expansive in different areas, it doesn't mean it's more that significantly, is what I'm saying. So I do agree that women have more intuition in certain areas, 1000%. But I also agree that, sorry, sis, you know what I'm saying? I'm your kryptonite, you know what I mean? So take that intuition shit somewhere else, okay? Because unless you got proof, bitch, bye. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is what Jay would say. I'm sorry. Was that expensive enough? Oh, go ahead, Devin. My bad.
Yeah, no, I think this is good that a lot of these things are being looked into with actual neuroscience, so we can kind of refer to these studies, whenever we have these topics or discussions. We can say, hey, listen, scientists have said women are 5 times better at this, men are 4 times better than women in these areas. So I think more research should be coming along, pointing out these differences that we can kind of hang our hats on it and move forward past anecdotal evidence. So shout out to science for that. Yay, science.
And real quick, because yesterday I posted this 1-year anniversary of a video, which was when we were doing season 4, to answer this question: why men get in the way of women's intuition. It's called dick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you can find the staunchest, the most religious, the most whatever. Dickmatized is a thing, my people. I hate to be the one. So if she can have, that's what, when I was saying the whole kryptonite thing, dog, I don't give a fuck who she is. She gets the right dick. That's why she let the nigga drive her car, my guy. It's because she's been dickmatized. She know better than that. Her intuition already told her what time was with Tyrone, but she don't care, dog. Her emotions, when you make that woman a certain time, Eddie Murphy said it 20 years ago, if you make it do a certain thing, dog, all sense goes out the window. Okay? Sorry, intuition at all, bitch. You know what I'm saying? That dick will have her pay your tuition, my nigga. But go ahead, Jay.
Squirt the intuition right out, huh? Skeet, skeet. I get it. It happens.
That's a fact.